All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. And I also want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those who elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. So I just want to do a quick lesson. It's a line back off of Elder Yasharama's video dealing with what would a world ruled by Amalek look like. And pretty much, he hit the nail on the head dealing with, through the spirit dealing with how would the world be under a world ruled by the wicked, man. And I think he was going through the chat GPT, as chat GPT, what would a world look ruled by Amalek look like, and it pretty much listed out everything what's going on right now, man. And pretty much we understand that the Amalekites, they're Edomites. Amalek was a grandson of Esau, so he's of the seed of Edom. So pretty much this is the rulership that we're living under right now. And as you can see, the state of the world, it's in chaos, man. It's in turmoil because the wicked is in power. All right, and what does the scripture says right here? Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. You see? So the righteous is not in authority right now, right? Because if the righteous was in authority, which the righteous are the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, according to Bible prophecy, and the scattered Israelites, all right? That look like the other nations, but they are Israelites, but nonetheless, that we are the righteous, and therefore when we rule, the people are going to rejoice because the world is going to be ruled in righteousness. The world is going to be ruled, perfect under Yahweh Shai, man, right? So on the other hand, you got the wicked who's in power, and he's ruling completely opposite to how the world should be ran, and therefore, we're seeing how the world is being operated right now. The world is being abused. Hey, you got chemicals in your food. You got chemicals in the air, aluminum's in the air, psychological warfare on the people. It's all kind of chaos going on upon the people, man. That show you right there that these cannot be the chosen people, all right? JEWs cannot be the chosen people because, simply put, that the world is not rejoicing right now. The scriptures talk about in the book of Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. If we can get that real quick. Salaki, if I may sound congested, I think allergies or something, but this is Isaiah chapter 2 and verse. You see, because when the true people go into the land, the ways of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai is gonna flourish throughout the earth. But right now, it's not happening. Wickedness is going on throughout the earth, man. When you think about it, what Amalek has done has been the biggest scam in the history of this world, man. All right, by taking upon the title of the chosen people and putting it upon themselves. Like, you gotta understand that we're witnessing this in real time. The scam that Amalek has done upon the world. But this is Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2, and it says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it." And nations are not flowing unto the land of Israel to learn righteousness. Matter of fact, people are going there and learning wickedness, man. Because the wicked is there teaching abomination. Okay? It says, verse 3, "And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord," which mountain represent government. Okay? So when the government of Yahweh Shai is established, okay, it's going to attract nations. As you can see, it's going to attract nations, and these nations, they're going to come to learn the ways of the Lord because they're going to see that this is the way that they should follow to flourish. It says, "To the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." You see? So show you right there. and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. As you can see, the complete opposite is happening right now. Matter of fact, Esau Edom is trying to quote unquote, I say quote unquote because it's not an upgrade, but that's what their thought is, that they're upgrading humanity, right? But in their words, they're trying to upgrade humanity, all right, using technology, which humanity doesn't need an upgrade through technology. What they need is order. What the world needs is to be healed from the wickedness that Esau Edom has done. See, he pretty much, destroyed the earth, destroyed the world, destroyed the minds of the people, all right, and now trying to come back with a solution, talking about, bringing the world together, or trying to speak peace, which is, complete madness, man. Okay, Esau Edom is bringing everything as a solution, but Yahweh Shai returning, which is crazy. Because Yahweh Shai returning is really the answer to the world's problem. Because the Lord is going to set this place in order. Verse 4 says, and he shall judge among the nations, and he shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, right? Because when the kingdom is established, right, there's not going to be any more war. So there's not going to be any more use for, weapons like missiles or guns. There's going to be no more use for those, because we're going to be in a peaceful world, a peaceful kingdom. Therefore, these weapons of war, they're going to be turned into weapons of agriculture. All right. It says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Okay? So they're not going to learn war anymore. It's not going to be a need for war. Because beginning with the nation of Yasha Allah, we're going to love our brothers, man. We're going to be on one accord with our nation. And therefore these ways are going to be taught unto the other nations. And of course we understand that the other nations, they're not going to be under the new covenant. They're not going to have the new bodies. Therefore, they're going to be subject to still go off. And when they do go off, they're going to get judged accordingly. All right, but the point is that, righteousness is going to be taught. All right, the ways of the Lord will be taught, but it's not being taught right now. See, you got to understand that if righteousness was being taught in this world, we won't have so many problems that we have today. For example, if adultery was judged immediately in the society, these women wouldn't be so scandalous. But it's not. It's rewarded. Therefore, they have no shame in what they do. They have no shame in what they do. So therefore, this shit is pushing the music, it's pushing the movies. And who run these things? The Amalekites, man. The so-called Jews. So that show you right there that they're not the people. So what would a world like Amalek? What would a world ruled by Amalek be like? Just look at the state of the world right now and ask yourself, who's running the world? And the scriptures tell you who's running the world, man. As the elder Yashurama brought out his video, it says in the scriptures that Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end is that he shall perish forever, man. When you go into that word first, it goes into chief. He's the chief of the nations right now. They are the elite, the bakers, the Amalekites, right? It says, verse 5, O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Okay? But in the world to come, it's going to show you a clear difference of, righteous rulership and wicked rulership. And these nations, as it says in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, it's going to say how, it's lucky I'm driving right now, that's why I'm not getting no scripture, so I'm going to speak for a little bit until I park my car. But it talks about in the book of Isaiah 14 how the fir trees rejoice at thee. You know, when you understand trees can represent people, you know, and the nations, they're gonna rejoice at the fall of the so-called white man Esau, Edom. You know, and you gotta understand, you gotta think about it, man. Slakia, Jay congested. You gotta think about it. You know, Esau, Edom. You know, he breaks so many laws of the Lord that, I'm not saying it's impossible to turn back, but Yahweh should be outside. You know, got it already planned that what he's gonna do is just destroy America, man, destroy Babylon the Great. You know, because the Lord would rather just destroy it and build back than to try to heal this place, you know, and pretty much build something on the defiled land. All right, the land is defiled, everything is defiled. So what's the point? You know, if you want to build something, like you got to demolish it first and then build it. You know, just start fresh. And that's what the Lord's going to do with the world. He's going to demolish Esau, Edom's kingdom, right? He's going to demolish Esau, Edom's kingdom, and then build righteousness on top of the demolition. And just like in construction, they will demolish, infrastructure, and then they just build over the same ground that they demolished it. But in the Lord's case, he's going to burn it all down, and then he's going to pretty much remove the cancer, all right, and then they'll start all over. And we got a cancer in the body, you got to get rid of that thing before, it spreads, and it becomes a nuisance to different parts of your body, man. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 at verse 10, it says, "The physician cutteth off a long disease, and he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die." You see? And that long disease is Esau, man, the so-called white man. And the Lord, Yahweh Shai, is coming back to cut him off. All right, he's been a long disease for a minute now, and it's time for him to be cut off. Like the scripture says in the book of Obadiah. Let's get that in the book of Obadiah. Obadiah verse 10, and I'm gonna jump down. "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." And why does it say for the violence against thy brother Jacob? Because the hatred and the violence of Esau goes back, to the ancient world. When you look at, what they did to us during slavery, during the time of slavery and, Jim Crow era, right? Yeah, that's horrible. That's bad, man. But, it goes back, even to the ancient Roman Empire, even before the ancient Roman Empire. So, time and time again, it's like over a period of time, over and over and over again, Esau has just had a perpetual hatred, as it says in Amos 1:11. He's just been coming against the nation of Israel, attacking us violently, man. Just like these other nations, as much as they don't like Israel, they put some kind of hell on us, but it wasn't to the point to what Esau have done. You see? And we're going to get the banger. And Salakia once again this lesson because, I'm congested. So, I can't speak as much as I wanted to. But this is verse 18. It says, "In the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble." Right? Because the northern and the southern kingdom, will be back together, and the gathering is happening right now. But, when it's all said and done, Esau, is going to be done away with. "And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it." So, and once again, you do got camps out there that teach, that, quote unquote white people, they don't make the distinction, or they don't make the distinction of Israelites being so-called white people. They just say white people and black people. They, we've broken off from that color box, man. Beginning with the apostles and the elders, a great millstone. We don't teach according to skin color. We don't teach a skin doctrine. We teach according to who your father is and according to what your spirit is, man. If you are an Israelite, if your father is an Israelite, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, and that's like a topic. That's like a stronghold upon this world. Is that white and black narrative, man? That color box, man. But speaking from this, this is talking about the so-called white nation. All right, primarily. But once again, not every so-called white person is an Edomite. And that goes for the other nations. Okay, so I just want to make that point because, when Jake hear that Esau was gonna be done away with, or when they hear that so quote unquote so-called white people are gonna be done away with, they get in their feelings because they may have white friends, so to speak, and it hurts their feelings because when you hear Jake's argument, it's really to save Esau. Jake don't care about the other nations. They don't care about Moab or Ammon. They want to save Esau. All right. But you can't save Esau, man. Okay, Esau is slated for destruction, and his judgment is already written. Okay, so, and Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I would give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to all for elect here this word of truth and in sincerity. To the next time I say shalom.